Okay, class, last week I introduced Ms. Berg to you and I mentioned that she would be a guest teacher coming in today to teach you a lesson about linear equations, so I'm going to let her get right started.
All right. From what I've seen and what I've talked to your teacher about, you guys have been working on different methods of solving linear equations since the beginning of the school year. The standard that we are working on today is analyze and solve linear equations and pairs of simultaneous linear equations. There's a lot of big words there. I want to break it down into what that means. What are you actually learning and doing? Who can tell me what you've been working on recently in class related to linear equations?
We've been working on comparing two different sets of data into a graph.
Okay.
Talking about their origins, where do they intersect, and stuff like that.
Okay. And do you remember what it means if they intersect?
It means that they have met at the same point.
Okay, so they share a point.
Yes.
They intersect together. All right, so you can graph a linear equation. And if I draw a graph, how do I know where I'm graphing my line if I'm using a linear equation? What can I use to help solve that?
Right on the zero.
Always?
Origin.
It always goes through the origin?
Almost,
or sometimes?
Sometimes.
Okay, sometimes, but you feel like closer to always?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You use coordinate numbers from x and y?
You use coordinate numbers from x and y. So what I'm hearing you say is something like that to give you the points on the graph? I agree. Who can build on that statement in the concept of x and y when it comes to linear equations?
With linear equations, the x is always the vertical line and the y is always the horizontal line. And x and y equations are usually x would be 2, y would be 3, so it would be 2 comma 3, and that would be and you would like sort of drag down where the dot would be, where right on top of the 2 and the 3 meet, where they intersect basically, is where you would draw that coordinate.
Okay, so you're telling me this is the x and this is the y?
Yes.
And then you would, depending on how
many units they have, yes.
Okay, you would count by units and mark the point. All right, how else can we use x and y to solve an equation?
You use an x and y as an x and y table.
Okay, did I clearly?
Yeah.
Is that what you were talking about? And how would I fill that in?
The x, which is the horizontal one, you'd put it on the x side, and then the y would be going up and down.
And what would I put that into? What would the equation look like that I would be using an x and y for?
Like y equals x plus, something.
Okay, that is a great start. Y equals x plus something. What we are looking for today is to better understand what you guys already know and can do with linear equations. You've had a lot of work. Oh, there are 2 pages, so keep both pages that I hand you. I'm going to let you have 60 seconds to just read it to yourself, but I promise that I am going to go over it. But let's just honor everyone's time to read both pages for the next 60 seconds. Quiet reading. What's the overall picture of what we're looking for?
We're trying to figure out how much it'll cost for for what plan Carlos chooses.
Okay. Before you get started with your team members, I also think it's important for you to see how I'm going to be grading these papers. I'm really, really interested in your work. So please work as hard as you can, even if you're not sure if you're right, and show me all of your work. If you leave a problem blank, it lets me know you don't understand it, but it doesn't tell me why you don't understand it. So what I would love to see is work, maybe with a question mark next to it or a note next to it of this is all I can do, but I think the next step would be blank, to show me what you understand so that I can use this to help me design a lesson with Mr. Grassi to help meet some of those things that you don't understand. If we look at the rubric, the very first sentence says what? Who can read me just that first sentence with an enthusiastic voice? Go ahead. Right here on the rubric.
Remember to try your best and always show your work.
Try your best and show your work. I promise you that is actually the very most important thing to me right now. Trying your best and showing me your work so I know what it is that you understand. Persevere in solving each problem. Persevere is a long word, but it's an important word. It means never give up. Keep trying. So if you don't understand it, skip it, try out the next problem, and come back. You don't always need to solve all the problems in order. Don't let something get in your way. This is a formative assessment. You have your group members to work things through, but I also want you to raise your hand and ask me questions, and I'll clarify anything that I can. And the last thing is that I want you to know that the points are also on the rubric. So problems number 1 and 2 are worth 1 point, and the rest of the problems are worth 2 points because those problems include explanations. Not just explanations in numbers, but also in words. Are there any questions before I let you get started with your group? All right, I'm excited to see what you guys know. Go ahead and get started.
Or how many hours are in a week?
Well, no. He only asked, or it says that he only used it for exactly 1 hour per day. So that means he used it 7 times. So we have to multiply it by
60
7.
times 24 and then multiply it by 7.
I'm gonna make it good. This happened in the last class, and I am gonna make one announcement. I wanted to give you the opportunity and see if it happened again, and it does look like it's reoccurring. For problem number 1, it says he decides to try out the minute plan for a week and uses the internet for exactly 1 hour. I'm already noticing that I needed to do a better job of writing that question because he does not use it for an hour each day of the week. He's using it for an hour total for the week. So Carlos is using the minute plan and all the minutes together add to 1 hour for the week. Does that clarify for you guys? Yep. All right, so go ahead and use that number and I'll make changes to that question.
Well, per minute, he has to pay 24 cents. So then you do 60 times 0.24, then you get $14. That's how much it costs for the whole week.
What?
$14.40.
$14?
Yeah. Because
Did you get the same answer? Okay.
Oh, I see it now.
All right, so everyone's in agreement? Yep. All right. Number 2, correct plan with computation and approach clearly presented. So I'm looking for the correct plan, and I see that you picked the minute plan with computation and approach clearly presented. So can you show me what approach you took or how I would know how you figured it out? It's kind of that important sentence. So right here is your work for that problem, and that's the minute plan?
This is the minute, this is the monthly, and this is the unlimited.
Thank you so much for telling me that. Can you just write those words right there for me? Because when I'm reading it, I might not know. I may not be able to give you the credit. Labels are so important in math. It really helps us understand where your thinking is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be wrapping up our task right now. Thank you so much for showing me your mathematical thinking and allowing me to be part of the dialogue you had with your group. I learned a lot about what you understand and what we're going to continue to work on when we talk about linear equations in the future. You guys had great group dialogue, and I saw a lot of opportunities to help your group members understand a problem when they were struggling. I'm going to ask you to take this home and finish it as homework. I want you to take not only the 2 papers, but also the rubric, because I did talk to a student who was already done and we went through the rubric together, and he realized he hadn't done everything the rubric asked for. So I want you to use that as a tool.